A new season of Call of Duty Mobile is upon us, and this time it's paired by a ranked reset. So all the more motive to watch this video, you will need it. And we will have a secret meta list towards the ending just for you. You won't find it anywhere else, and that's how you can stay ahead of your competition. As per usual though, you know the rules, and so do I. A full disclaimer is what I'm thinking of, and you won't get this from any other guy. We won't rank weapons on an overall list, it does not make sense. It depends on the match pace and your personal preferences. However, we listen to your feedback and we will tier them within their own respective categories. Starting off the list strong with the semi-autos. Now these are guns that tend to be very strong, they are just a little hard to utilize for most players. At tier 1 we have the SKS. Now if you played against this weapon, you know why it's good. It can two-shot you across the map, it can one-tap to the head, and it does not really have any major flaws aside from the slow rate of fire. And one issue that tends to come up frequently with the SKS is that when you're building it, you'll either have high flinch or you'll have bad mobility. You can't really balance out both that well. And the next gun in this list is pretty much a direct upgrade to this gun, so there's not a lot of reason to use it. At tier 0.5 we have the Type 63, which is the aforementioned direct upgrade to the SKS. This gun does pretty much everything better than the SKS. The only downside tends to be bullet velocity, and even with bullet velocity it's probably gonna kill faster in most situations. And it fixes a lot of the SKS's major flaws like flinch, mobility, etc. So if you're into DMRs, definitely give this a go. Next up is snipers, and at tier 1 we have the Tundra. Not much needs to be said about this gun, it has been meta for seasons now, and if you're in the need of a sniper, this is probably your go-to pick. Up next we have the Dishonorable Mentions, and at tier 1 it's none other than the Jak-12 Dragon's Breath, and true to its name, it can melt enemies in CQC. It's pretty much a full auto R9, it has great ADS spread, it has great hipfire, you can probably kill enemies at 30 meters if you're lucky enough. So you might ask, what's the con lock? And that's pretty much just like a dragon, once you're done doing the deed, you will need a bit of a recharge time. This gun has a small mag size, and you will need to reload very often. So make sure to keep track of the mag count when you're using this weapon. And at tier 0.5 it's none other than the Man of War Thermite, as expected, because this gun can two-shot across the map, so all you have to do is hit your enemy twice and then peek. This is also a very powerful gun against core streaks, it's just insanely toxic overall, and whenever you're using either of these weapons, make sure to hide your in-game chat because it can suddenly become Peggy 18. Up next we have a category loved by the CoDM champions, aggressive weapons. Now these are guns that tend to be very situational because you will need an appropriate distance with the enemy to use them effectively in ranked. However, once you do, nothing is going to outgun you as long as you're hitting your shots. Our Garena viewers are going to love the first contender for this spot, the KRM. It's a high damage, high mobility, great hipfire shotgun, and the only cons tend to be that most shotguns have anyway. However, it does take quite a bit of time, as you would expect, to be ready for your second shot, so if you miss you're probably gonna end up dead. The next weapon solely exists to fix this issue. The R9. Imagine the KRM, if it could shoot twice. Yep, that's pretty much what the R9 does. It can give you a revive card if you were to miss your shots, and this makes it a very strong weapon, and also why it saw a lot of usage in the CoDM championships. Finally, we have the Fennec, the gun loved by the CoDM champs for how easy it is to use in the first few ranges. It has great hipfire, in fact one of the best in its category. It has great fire rate, in fact one of the best in its category. So the only con tends to be its versatility. If you were to use it beyond its prime ranges, you will find the flinch and recoil to be quite lacking, and it limits this weapon to CQC only. However, as long as you're in that range, it is a very strong pick. Next up, we have a section dedicated to the people who hold the positions on your maps, saving you from being flanked. The mania, the anchors, and the passive players. And at tier 1.5, it's none other than the KN-44. You remember that in the past we used to have debates. LK24 or KN44, which gun is better? Now they buffed the KN and forgot about the LK. So this weapon tends to deal higher damage and there's a chance it also kills faster. However, the recoil does tend to be problematic, so you don't want to spray this gun for too long, and its mobility and time to kill can also generally be on the slower side, so don't get too aggressive with it. Next up, we have the PKM. This is a great gun for people that like to be human sentries. However, mobility does tend to be one of its biggest cons. It has great damage, it has great recoil, it has great flinch, most of its stats are very good. Mobility is the only con. In fact, sometimes you will find you don't even have enough momentum to initiate a slide, so rotations around the map can become especially problematic. However, if the map allows it, something like Crossfire, probably nobody is challenging you except a real sniper. Up next we have the MG42. Now this gun should not exist. It has the fire rate of an SMG, the flinch stat does not exist for this. The recoil stat does not exist for it either. The hipfire stat, one of the best in the game. So it can actually kind of bypass the slow ADS speed issue as well. And it's also one of the fastest LMGs. It even has good strafe speed for some reason if you need that. And well, its only issues could like be bullet speed, but that's about it. The sprint to fire speed is pretty slow too. The next category is a people's favorite, the flex weapons. And at tier 1 it's none other than the BP50. Now imagine guns like the Grau or the Type 19, you know, the jack of all trades. The BP50 just said, those but faster. Yep, this gun has insanely fast mobility for a flex AR. The recoil is non-existent just like the MG42. The flinch is very good too for the ranges it needs to work at. So this is a gun that's really great till 30 meters. However, they did nerf it, so it does not kill obscenely quickly now, but you'll still find the time to kill very competitive. Coming in at tier 1 of the flex weapons, the XM4. It's the new addition this season, and initially we thought it's pretty terrible because of its recoil, but it has a mythic, so of course it got shadow buffed. Now it's a very compelling option, and you can think of it as the Type 19's more aggressive cousin. It has more consistent 4 shots in the second range, however, its ranges do tend to be a bit shorter, it ADS is faster, and it can slightly more consistently 3-tap to the head than the Type 19. It also has slightly worse hipfire than it, but you should definitely check it out this season. Up next at tier 0.5 we have the Odin. Now this is a very adamant gun, it's here despite the recent nerfs, and it's also very high skill demanding. But once you fulfill those demands, it will reward you insanely well. Play it the right way. No gun can compete with you. It kills in 145 milliseconds. The mobility is pretty decent for what it has to do as well. The only issues tend to be recoil, and its hipfire stat is pretty horrible. Next up, the HVK30. And instead of the pros, I'll start from the cons. The mag size. Yep, that's the only con to this weapon. And once you can manage your ammo well with it, you can shred your lobbies. If you feel you're struggling with this gun though, it's probably a skill issue. Before I tell you the flex GOAT, we will have 2 honorable mentions. Coming in at tier 1, first off, we'll have the Type 19. This weapon is a jack of all trades. It doesn't have any real major cons, so it does not excel at anything, but it's a pretty average pick you can take for almost all your matches. Next up we have the DRH. This is also a great gun. It doesn't have any major real flaws, but the weapon I'm about to tell you is just completely demolishing it. Next up we have the USS-9. Imagine the DRH with even better mobility, even better 3-shot consistency, and it even shot slightly faster. That's a lot of pros. What's the con? It has bullet speed. But you do tend to forget about that when you kill an enemy at 50 meters with ease with its main AR like BSA. Up next we have the secret meta, the hidden away guns that can pull you ahead of the competition. Quick shout out to the MK2 at tier 1 in the secret meta. It's a very powerful sniper overall and you should definitely try it out. And we are starting it off with none other than the RAL MG. Coming in at tier 1.5, it's a very strong LMG overall. It's gotten buffed and it can 3-shot super consistently now. Its only cons tend to be the mobility and the reload speed, but if you're camping, those two stats don't really matter, do they? Lag 53, I know, don't get scared, this gun used to suck. But after the buffs, it appears to be a potential load and side grade. Though this needs a bit of playtesting, it can 2-shot more consistently and it also has easier recoil, so definitely have a look at it this season. To finish off this list, coming in at tier 0.5, we have the CX-9 Burst. It's like the HVK on steroids. The magazine capacity con is even worse now, but the pros are even better. It has the best time to kill and mobility you will see on a full auto meta weapon. It has great hip fire, very easy to control recoil. The only cons would tend to be the flinch, and as long as you don't challenge 5 enemies at once, you will be good, because it reloads pretty quickly too. Personally, I will recommend you use Vulture to pair with this gun, because you will basically be a juggernaut as long as you're getting kills. It kills in just about enough time for you to get full HP from a Vulture pack. Drop a sub if you liked the video. Going dark.